how do we avoid being pushy?
To actually be responsible for them getting from A to B, it's just not my responsibility, it's theirs and God's.
Yeah. Like, you will fail, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's part of the learning process.
Jesus is still on the throne, even if we fail. Like,
The sun
he's still
still comes
good,
up. Yeah.
Apologize if you need to apologize.
None of us want to be that pushy person that turns people off faith or the opportunity to accept Jesus. Hey, so how do we avoid being pushy?
For me, it's the way I live my life, you know? Like, yes, I want to share Jesus with every single person because I know what Jesus done in my life. You want everyone to know that. But I think it's like we were all saying, just living as a human being, as a follower of Jesus, you know? Do we care more about the person's salvation or do we actually care about them? But, you know, you want to have that relationship with someone, that money in the bank, essentially, that you've now built this relationship with them, that you're not then pushy when you bring up Jesus, because you can then have the freedom and the relationship and the friendship to then, you know, if you say, oh, you know, Jesus was so good in my life, you know, he really did this today, the person you're journeying with, they're like, oh, that's awesome, like, tell me more about it, because they know your heart. They know you as a person that, you know, I care about you. I don't just care about your salvation, I care about you as a person, about your family, your likes, your dislikes and all that, that you're not then just being that pushy Christian just trying to shove something down someone's throat. You know, you're not wanting just the end goal and not willing to do the hard work of, not even hard work, the joy of being friends with someone and building a relationship with them. So I think when you focus on the end goal of that, then you become that pushiness. But just stepping back and just building relation with someone, that's when it just changes completely, because, you know, even if they don't say yes to Jesus yet, you've gained a good friend, you've lowered barriers that in their life, that they're more open to the gospel, you know?
A key word there is trust. Because if you've built enough relationship with a person that they can trust you, then perhaps sharing about Jesus isn't as pushy, because they trust that you're not there to make them be or do a certain thing. You've filled up that bucket over time. And sometimes that trust with people can be built like there's a connection and the trust is there. And so you can really like hone in. Other times, like, as we all know, trust can take years to build with people because they've been hurt or whatever it is that might be there. But
I just think you're crazy.
Yeah, there goes the crazy
Not
Christian.
reliable.
Let's hope that's not what they're thinking. I do want to have a little bit of a look at the difference between evangelism and discipleship. Like, Jesus had disciples, but what do you guys think is the difference between the two?
Me personally, I'm still figuring that one out. If there is even a line between the two, and if there is a line, where does that line kind of sit? Me personally, I've worked out that I enjoy building relationships with people. It's fun getting to know someone in their life, and like that's really great. And 9 times out of 10, when it comes to like stepping out in faith and telling someone about Jesus, I'm pretty cool with that. Sometimes I still get scared. Especially like if God asked me to go pray for someone with a broken leg or something, like oh my goodness.
Really, Jesus?
Yeah.
It's super full on.
I failed on that the other day, just quietly.
I fail on that every week, all the time.
Oh my gosh, we're all human, great.
I don't even hear the prompting. I'm just like, oh, broken leg.
Nice.
I think going off what you're saying of trying to distinctly go, what is discipleship and what is evangelism? I always think of it as, my mum was actually a great example of this growing up, and I'm super thankful for her because it was such a thing embedded in our lives that was so natural that we had our door open, and it was literally just watching her do life with people. And it was our neighbors, or like doing something like to go, when Jesus says like, go the mile ahead, or do something out of your comfort zone, or little things like that, building that trust and relationship. And it was she could be there until they, give their life to God, but that's not discipleship. I think it was more so every single day, like, how are you going? And building that relationship, and then them stepping into knowing Jesus, and then going, okay, ask questions as they're just going to the grocery store with her, or like doing day-to-day things where sometimes just like, oh, why would I ask someone to come with me? But people most times want that. They want to be close with you if they actually have a friendship with you. So I think for me, I think seeing that example was awesome. And for me, that's what discipleship is. It's literally just, hey, let's do life together. And then they're able to ask questions. Why do you do that? Like, why do you give to that person? Why do you give to church? Like, who is Jesus? And so those questions will come. And also when they give their life to God, then going deeper questions of like, what do you think of this? And then you can actually, oh, let me show you. Like, here's some scripture verses. Or like, God showed me this. Or like, I walked through this. And so, yeah, for me, that's what it looks like of doing life with somebody.
Yeah, love that. What a mum to have.
Well, it's just like evangelism is inviting people on that journey with Jesus, and they say yes. And then discipleship is making them disciples. It's Christians use that fancy word sanctification, and it's just that it just means to become more like Christ.
Yes.
And that's why he had disciples who were learning to become like their teacher and to walk that journey to become little Christs.
And I think just to add on what you're saying, I think sometimes we can put too much pressure on like, oh, like so many people. It's like Jesus had 12 disciples. Let's just remember that. Like,
And then smaller group as well.
Exactly. And it's like, even if it's one or two people in your life that you're close with, that's better than having, that's what disciple is you having close people, and then evangelist is and then you sending them to them people to disciple them. I think that's where I can also go, that's the difference between the two in my understanding.
I'm learning, I've recently learnt not to take on board those people's responsibility when it comes to, I like the word sanctification, I think it's a great word. Not taking on board the responsibility for their life to suddenly become more like Jesus's life, because it's just not my job. I feel like I can be a help and a guide or a mentor, but to actually be responsible for them getting from A to B is just not my responsibility. It's theirs and God's. And
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like planting a seed in a pot and thinking we're going to make it grow. We don't make it grow. We can't look at it going, come on, grow, willing it to grow. It's just what's going to happen because that's God's nature.
Right.
But based on today's conversation, if there's someone watching that's a bit, freaked out about sharing the gospel or doesn't quite know how to do it, what's a piece of encouragement you would give them?
I think we started at the start, just keeping it simple. Just, Jesus, what do you want me to do? What's my next step of this year, Is it, reaching out to someone in your world? Or is it, hey, let's dig deeper with Jesus, build your relationship with him and then go from there. I just think, let's keep it simple.
Start with just spending time with God, and out of that, it'll just become natural because you'll just be talking about your life, and your life's so intertwined with God.
Sure.
I also think to add on that, spend time with God and have conversation with this. If you're questioning, the more questions you ask is also going to be great. And surround yourself with people that do that already. Because I'm always a practical learner. If I'm watching someone do it, I'm like, cool, I'm not the only one, or I'm not the only one that doesn't understand that, or I can see that happen. So surround yourself with people, pray and get deep with God. Surround yourself with people, and then step out and know that the Holy Spirit's with you, and that we all fall and make mistakes. So don't put that weight on your shoulder, because I do it all the time. I'm just like, but God's like, I've got you, baby girl. Like, chill.
I got you, baby girl.
Chill it.
Well, you will fail, but that's okay.
Yeah,
That's part of the learning process.
Literally.
Jesus is still on the throne, even if we fail.
The sun
he's
still
good.
comes up.
Apologize if you need to apologize.
mine is just, it sounds so silly and simple and cliche, but it's just be yourself. If you are into surfing and that's who you are and you love it, then share Jesus in the surf. There's no point being in a place that isn't who you are and being uncomfortable and put just...
No, I am this.
And I think that stems from knowing who I am in Jesus. Because if I'm comfortable with myself and I know who I am in Jesus and I have a good relationship with him, then I'm just going to be myself no matter what. And it's genuine.
Love it. Great conversation. Can't wait for the next one. See, back in my day, you knew it was true love if someone made you a mixed tape because it took them forever. You had to have the dual cassette thing. Yeah. Now it's like just make a Spotify playlist.
Yeah, and share it
share
with
it.
them.